We're going to talk about trends, the way the market moves, the three directions that the market moves, right? Uptrend, downtrend, sideways, aka consolidation, right? So let's get right into it. So let's find a chart that is, I don't know, we're just going to find a matter of fact, no, forget that. You just find a chart. Matter of fact, it might be time to clear my chart. Oh no, I like holding on to, not holding on, but let's find a different UJ chart, I guess. Okay. Well, these are other little markups I had, but we can remove. Clear chart, remove. Okay, cool. All right, so let's just go to our own segment of the chart, right? So let's identify the trend, right? So price tends to move. Let's identify a downtrend first, right? So a downtrend usually moves in this direction, down, of course, right? So to identify a downtrend, once you start seeing lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs in the market, that is identified as a downtrend, right? Because clearly we're seeing price go down. So price is going from $100 to $80, back up to $95, which would be a lower high, right? Down to $75, down to $88. I mean, coming back up to $88. So that's just a little example of price moving in a high and high low. I mean, lower low and lower high aspect, right? Because we are talking about the downtrend, right? So your job as a trader is to identify where price wants to, where you anticipate price will cap before it wants to go down, right? So your job as a trader is to catch trades along this way, right? So you want to try to get in a trade for sells during somewhere along the lower high point, right? To aim for the lower low. And this is a trade, right? You'll have a lower low where you're targeting, and you'll have your stop loss above a lower high, right? You'll be looking for sales, of course. The trend is down, right? So these are how we identify what kind of trends we are looking for. Well, this is how we identify the trend in the market, and we'll know that we're targeting sells. So we know the bears are in the market, they're in control, and we want to ride with the trend. The trend is your friend, right? So we'll say this is a lower high. This is really a low because it's the first low. So we wouldn't even mark this as a low high. But this is a low due to the fact that it is lower than this low, right? So yeah. So this is a lower high due to the fact that this high is lower than this previous high. This low is lower than the previous low, right? So that's how we identify lower lows and lower highs. And that is why it is called lower lows and lower highs, right? The same goes for uptrend. Price will move in a high, a higher low due to the fact that it's higher than this low, higher high, higher low due to the fact that it's higher than this low, higher high due to the fact that it's higher than this high, and higher low due to the fact that it's higher than this low, and so on and so forth, right? So you always want to see where price wants to reverse at. So we can mark this off as a resistance and a support. So a resistance is always the ceiling, support is always the floor. Sometimes price may retrace to use a resistance to a support. Sometimes price may retrace even steeper. As long as it's not breaking this low, then it can still be a lower high point, right? Price would not break a lower low by accident on the higher time frame, right? So always keep that in mind. So we can mark off resistance now turn support. Resistance could potentially now turn support. So let's mark these off. High low. just clone it. So we have higher low, right? So let's just do this over. Let's mark off our high low points, our high highs and high lows, right, for the uptrend. High high, high low point. Let's just make it resistance support, just for the sake of this video. Let's mark off our lower lows and our lower highs, just for the sake of this video, just to make it simple. Okay, bear with me guys, we're just remarking it, we're just doing it over so we can make space for consolidation, right? And let's clone high low for one more time. I don't know, I keep fumbling over my words saying high low when we're in a different trend. But yeah, so we have those two trends, right? So the next trend is consolidation, right? Consolidation is just sideways movement where price breaks the resistance, then turns around, breaks the support. So we don't have no clear-cut trend, right? Trend is just breaking each way. It's just nonsense, right? Consolidation. So let's mark this off. Well, let's just name it consolidation. Let's make this a little bigger. So we have consolidation. Then we have, oh, okay, there we go. Then we have downtrend. Then we have uptrend. And you don't want to trade a consolidation because the rules are being broken here, right? Where you want to follow some type of rule to trade, right? So in the uptrend, we clearly know that after a higher low comes a higher high point, right? So you want to look for trades along this push to the upside. Excuse me. During a downtrend, you know you want to look for trades during this push to the downside because we know that after a lower high point, we're anticipating a lower low. So you want to follow the trend and look for sells, right? For an uptrend, like I said, you want to follow the trend and look for buys, right? And that is higher highs, higher lows, trending markets, consolidation. And like I said, this was just a simple video. We just going over trends, and we will catch you guys next time with another video. You know, this is just episode 1, so buckle up. Let's go through the mud. Let's get gritty with it, right? Start from the beginning, uptrend, downtrend, and we will come up with a new video, and we will drop that soon this week, right?